Congrats on your first season of Unrivaled. Tell us, why was this new league necessary?
You know, Stewie and I started this because at the time we had both been in the WNBA for several years. We both had families, and we saw that for a lot of players, we had to supplement our income by going overseas. And through that, not only are you missing, you're in another country, so you're missing, you know, holidays with your family. We both, again, had children, so figuring out childcare overseas. But another thing that people don't realize is we make most of our money off the court. So brand building is really essential for us. When you're overseas, you essentially go dark for 6 months. It's really hard to activate with brands to build that. You kind of have to like start the wheel turning all over again every single year when you come back to the WNBA. And then the other thing is the WNBA is kind of compared to the NBA of the 80s right now. It's really bogged down, really physical in the paint. And we always knew that for this to be successful, needed to get the best players in the W. And so we wanted to showcase their skills. We have the best women in basketball. We want to show what they can do. So that's why we came up with 3-on-3 and then kind of the model that we did.
And then tell us a little bit about the pay model, because the gender pay gap is much larger in the world of sports than it is on average in the rest of the U.S., and obviously there are meaningful pay gaps. How are you structuring salaries different from what they are in the NBA, the WNBA?
Yeah, so for the first thing is to kind of backtrack why we started this is women's sports is exploding. I'm sure you guys have seen just rapidly growing, and it feels like everyone is benefiting from that except for the women in the sports. And so that's why we wanted to, why we're so proud to offer the highest average salary, why equity, having all the players have equity in the league was really important to us. So that is how, like, treating women's athletes how they should be treated. And this is year one. We hope we are going to, you know, continue to raise the salaries as the business grows. So this is kind of a starting point. This isn't even where we think that women's athletes should be. It's just what we were able to do in year one. So we're really proud of that and excited for the future.
And a huge start. And it's not just pay that makes Unrivaled different. Tell us a little bit about your facilities. I was really impressed to hear how very different they are than what, especially what you have in the WNBA.
Yes. So when we were building it, we kind of put things into buckets, like what is a necessity? So of course we need a training room, a weight room, locker rooms, and then how do we make those the best they can be? So we had the best, you know, machines, we had the best recovery things, we had the best physicians coming in, and then it's like, what would just be fun to have? What is just fun stuff we can do? So we did like an esthetician, which was a hot spot. Like we were in there every week. We did a glam room. So for all the shoots we did, again, brand building was huge. So we had a bunch of shoots. So media day was in there, shoots are in there. Girls get ready in there before the games. It was a 4 brand room, so that was really cool. Another necessity though is the childcare that we did. So we had nursing rooms, daycare, and a kids room where it was really good. So as obviously mothers, like, you want to be able to focus on the game and be your best self. Worrying about, is my child safe, and having reliable childcare is so important. So we knew from the beginning that is something that we needed to focus on.
Now, hearing about your relationships with brands and the way you brought in so many brands, it's interesting to think about the fact that you had to really put on a different hat. And obviously you're a basketball player, but you also had to be a business person for you and your co-founder to raise that $35 million Series A round. What was it like changing hats and being a business person rather than a basketball player when you were thinking about the league?
Yeah, it was really interesting. This was my first real introduction into the business world, and I thought it was just so fascinating. First of all, just trying to get the buy-in in the beginning. It was a little bit hard, honestly, harder than we thought it was going to be, because it's a whole new product that we're bringing to the table. No one knew what it was going to be. You know, they've never seen that format before. How are we going to get the players to buy in? So getting the ball rolling in the beginning was hard, but once we, you know, had those initial players, people can see the value in that. And so that was really fun to learn that and to kind of see, you know, as a player, you're always like, why can't you give us more money? Why can't we do this? Why? And being on the business side, you kind of understand it a little more, which honestly makes me feel more prepared to when I'm going into those negotiations in the W.
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead to some WNBA questions here, and then we'll go back to more about what you're building at Unrivaled, because you've said that the WNBA players are discussing the potential for a work stoppage as you negotiate about your new CBA, your collective bargaining agreement. What are you focused on right now? You say you're more prepared, but what are you looking for?
I think, again, just knowing our value. We have more leverage now than we ever have as women's athletes, and just using that to our advantage. You know, we were really proud of our last CBA and the steps we were able to take, but we want to take even bigger steps for for the CBA that we're in right now. And no one wants a work stoppage. We all want to play, of course. I think we're just preparing ourselves to where we know our worth, and we have to set our foot down at some point and demand that.
And do you think that unrivaled success and your experience just in the past year is going to impact the negotiations?
Yeah, I think Unrivaled is a tool where we're trying to raise all boats, like a high tide raises all boats. So we've already seen the effect that it's having in overseas contracts, other domestic league contracts. Again, we were talking about the WNBA as well. We are using this where if we are doing well in Unrivaled, it only lifts the WNBA up. If the WNBA is doing well, it only lifts Unrivaled. So really we're trying to just raise the ecosystem of not only women's basketball, but women's sports in general. So we're really excited about like the parity in that and helping each other. So
going back to Unrivaled, you will have over 20 brand deals, a lot of big brands for your first season. Here we are watching the market volatility. The stock market's been going crazy, up and down, mostly down. Are you concerned that that volatility and all of this uncertainty is going to impact your brand deals going forward?
Yeah. I mean, no one can predict the future, obviously, but I think throughout all of these ups and downs, always sports has been such a constant. It's something that really brings people together. And I think there's a little bit of security in that. And just, especially in a time where you don't want to be thinking about all the things going on in the world, cheering for your favorite team or rooting against the player that you don't like the most. I think that is always a constant, and so we're excited about that and hopeful for the future in that.
So what's next for the future of Unrivaled, and also for your work as you focus on your impact work as well?
I think for Unrivaled, we're just focused on growth and sustainability. We feel really good. I mean, we made $27 million in revenue this year, which is, thank you. We're really excited about that. But even without that, we had raised enough money where we had the leeway for several years for the league to be sustainable. So this obviously adds on to that. So with that success, we're really excited about, taking Unrivaled on the road. So doing tour stops next year, expanding teams, expanding the player pool. And offering the players more salary, just heightening everything. Again, it was year one, and it's like you have an idea, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're changing things in real time, so hoping to improve like the fan experience and make it even better for the players, and raise salaries. So growth is what we're looking at.
And off the court, you're focused on women's health and empowerment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always. I mean, I have a daughter now, so that is something that I was passionate about before, but even more so now. One of my sponsors, Opil, I'm headed there tonight. I'm on a red eye. We are going to colleges, and we're talking about it's like the first, over-the-counter daily birth control pill available, especially in, we're going to places that they may not have the resources to learn about their reproductive health. So definitely an advocate for that, and hope to make a better future, of course, for your kids.
Well, that is a powerful note to end on.